What's up, everybody? Justin here. Hope you're having a good Friday night and that you have a great wrestling weekend. History will be made Saturday night, tomorrow, 24 hours from now, or whenever you're watching this. History will be made on Saturday night is AEW's Double or Nothing. Hopefully, you're watching it. I will be. But this is not about AEW. But I suggest that you get the pay-per-view and watch it Saturday night, tomorrow night. This is a Who's Better show. Who's Better? Where I debate who I think was better for wrestling. It can be between tag teams or women or two singles wrestlers or former bookers or owners of companies or former vice presidents of wrestling companies. This episode of Who's Better, where I debate for both of them. This episode is between Who's Better, Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter, never heard of her. She used to run Impact Wrestling. Used to be TNA, now it's Impact Wrestling. Dixie Carter versus, saying the guy's name just pisses me off, Jim Herd, former WCW vice president. Somehow the guy was hired to run WCW in 1989. Jim Herd versus Dixie Carter. This is Who's Better between Dixie Carter and Jim Herd. I don't like Jim Herd. I've never liked the guy. Now, when I was a young kid, when he was running things, I didn't know who the hell he was. I didn't really care because I was a really young kid. But I've done my research. I know a lot about both of these people. I know a lot more about Dixie Carter, but I got some stuff on Jim Herd. First, I'm going to talk about Jim Herd and the stuff that he did. He was hired. He was hired as vice president. I don't know how. The guy was hired as vice president of WCW in 1988, going into 89. Also, I guess he ran a wrestling show or was a program director or something. He ran a wrestling show that was popular in St. Louis. He wasn't the booker. He wasn't the owner, but I don't know what he did. He ran the television station or something. But I guess he ran a wrestling show in St. Louis that was very popular. So that's why he was hired as WCW vice president. I don't know who hired him. I hope Ted Turner was smart enough to not hire him. I don't know who hired him. So anyways, basically he was hired to be vice president because he ran a popular wrestling show in St. Louis. Now, when I say running it, I don't know what that really means. He wasn't the booker. He was never smart enough to be a booker. Wasn't the owner of the company, so I don't get how he ran the wrestling show. But whatever. So he got damn lucky, really like a miracle. It is a miracle that Jim Herd was ever hired to be vice president of any wrestling company, because the guy really fucked up and didn't have a clue, didn't know what the fuck he was doing. I could run a company better. And I'm not that educated. I dropped out of high school, but I have a GED. I know I could run a wrestling company better than Jim Herd. So anyways, I don't have much. I mean, I try to take both of these people, Dixie Carter and Jim Herd. I try to give them both to debate for them, I try to say good things about what they did and bad things. I can't come up with any good things that Jim Herd did. I guess the good, but he doesn't get or deserve any credit for it. I guess you could say Sting became world champion for the first time under Jim Herd. But Jim Herd had nothing to do with it. Ric Flair promised Sting the world title. He promised that he would put him over and give him the world title because Ric Flair knew Sting was the guy. Now, did Jim Herd push for Sting to get a big push and be the face of the company? I don't know. Maybe. But seriously, I have nothing good to say about Jim Herd. Except maybe he got Sting his big push. Maybe. Maybe he helped. I don't know. I really don't think he deserves any credit for getting Sting his push. Ric Flair does. So here is basically the bad about Jim Herd. The guy was a vice president in late 88 to January 1992. Thank God he was let go and fired. Bill Watts, yeah, he was a bully, but at least the guy knew wrestling and knew how to run a company because he ran Mid-South. And Mid-South, their old stuff that's on the network, it was pretty good shit. What was done in Mid-South was really good, like in-your-face, hard-hitting wrestling, had a lot of blood. It was good. So, anyways, Jim Herd was let go in January 92. Round of applause for that. Thank God he was let go. I have nothing good to say about Jim Herd, the bad he did. First off, the guy should have never been hired as vice president because the guy was from Pizza Hut. He was running a goddamn Pizza Hut. I'm sorry, but he might have knew about pizza and how to run a pizza business. He shouldn't have been running a wrestling company. The guy was a pizza man. I don't think he was a legit pizza delivery driver, but the guy ran a Pizza Hut. Or a couple Pizza Huts. Big fucking deal. That doesn't mean you're going to be great and successful in wrestling. Doesn't. So, anyways, the bad about Jim Herd. The guy, first off, the guy was a Pizza Hut, whatever, business, ran a Pizza Hut. That's pathetic that he got into wrestling and whatever. He probably lied. If he was interviewed to be hired, the guy probably lied and said, oh yeah, I made Pizza Huts. I got like 5 or 10 of them. They're making a ton of money, so I can make WCW a ton of money. And someone probably actually believed him. I hope it wasn't Ted Turner that believed his story and hired him. Maybe it's someone else, and Ted Turner just agreed with them. So, and again, the bad. The guy made, because he was such a dumbass and such an idiot, he didn't have a clue. He pissed off the Road Warriors so bad, I guess he wouldn't give them a raise or new contracts or something, or was pissing them off. He pissed off the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, so bad that he got them to quit WCW. The Road Warriors were in their prime. They were a great team in 89 and 1990. And Jim Herd was such an idiot that he let the Road Warriors quit and leave without giving them what they wanted. Right there, the guy should have been fired. You have the Road Warriors, a legendary bad ass tag team and you let them leave. You let them leave. Their last pay-per-view was Wrestle War 90. And after that, they were gone. And Jim Herd allowed it. Probably because his damn ego. The guy thought, let him go. Let him leave. I don't care. We'll find someone else to push. And yeah, you still had a lot of good tag teams in WCW. You had Doom, you had the Steiners, you had the Midnight Express. I'll get to the Midnight Express because they ended up quitting too. Because they hated Jim Herd. Well, Bobby Eaton did not quit. He wanted to stay because he had young children and he had to make money for his family. But Stan Lane and Jim Cornette wanted to get the fuck out of there because of Jim Herd's stupidity as being a boss. So you had the Road Warriors leave. That was not good. Jim Herd, you're a dumbass for letting the Road Warriors go. Yeah, you had other good tag teams, other great tag teams, but they were not the Road Warriors. So you let the Road Warriors quit. And then you come up with god-awful gimmicks for a couple wrestlers. These were Jim Herd ideas. In 1989, you have a tag team that I believe is only on one show that I've seen. They only appeared once on TV. And they never appeared again because it was fucking ridiculous and the gimmick was god-awful and they sucked. And it was stupid. The Ding Dongs. Jim Herd came up with the Ding Dongs. The fucking Ding Dongs. I believe they're at Clash of the Champions in July 89, I think. That was their only appearance, and they never appeared again, Jim Herd, because they fucking sucked. And probably everybody that was under you, working for you, probably told you this idea, the Ding Dongs, fucking sucks. They were the shits, and they should never be on TV again, or pay-per-view. Thank God they never appeared on a pay-per-view. The Ding Dongs was shit. That was a Jim Herd idea. That was bad. That was god-awful. Another god-awful Jim Herd idea for a wrestler. The guy wanted to call a wrestler the Hunchback. It might have been Bastion Booger. Before he's Bastion Booger. But I don't know if it was that gimmick was for him, but it might have been Jim. It might even existed. I don't know. The Hunchback might have fucking existed on TV. I never saw him, but he could have. He could have appeared on a WCW Pro or Worldwide or WCW Power Hour. I don't know. Or a WCW Saturday Night. The Hunchback might have actually appeared on TV. That was an idea of Jim Herd. To call a wrestler the Hunchback. And legit had a bump on his back. I don't know what the hell was in his back. A basketball or something. But wanted to call a wrestler the Hunchback. So his shoulders. The joke was, or Jim Herd thought it was funny or something. Jim Herd said, oh yeah, he has a hunchback. So his shoulders can never be pinned to the mat. I don't know what Jim Herd was smoking. Crack or something. The guy, I guess, thought it was funny. That the hunchback could never be pinned and lose. That is just insane. Insanely stupid to call a wrestler the Hunchback. And he actually had a giant bump on his back so his shoulders couldn't be pinned. That's god-awful. Another bad fucking thing that Jim Herd did was Jim Cornette was fucking fed up with him because of his stupidity and his dumbass ideas. So Jim Cornette was totally fed up. He wanted to quit. He wanted to leave. I don't blame him. And Stan Lane was also done. He wanted to leave. He wanted to be done. I don't know if it's because he hated Jim Herd. He probably did. But maybe Stan Lane was burned out because the guy was on the road for like 7, 8 years straight. Maybe 10 years straight. So at the end of 1990, I would say after Halloween Havoc, because Halloween Havoc 90 was a final appearance for the Midnight Express on a WCW pay-per-view, was Halloween Havoc 90. After Halloween Havoc 90, Jim Cornette was gone. He quit. Jim Herd actually tried to get them to stay and by giving them new contracts and raising their contracts and giving them more money to stay. Jim Cornette has explained in a lot of interviews, he said, I don't want more fucking money, you dumbass. He says, I can't fucking stand you. I want to quit. And I don't blame Jim Cornette for snapping on Jim Herd. So Jim Cornette left. Stan Lane, one half of the Midnight Express, he left too. That's two really big stars that were. It should have been staying, but no. Jim Herd was such an idiot. He got them to quit and leave. So that was not good for WCW, and it was all because of Jim fucking Herd. Also, other god awful things Jim Herd did. In 1991, he got Ric Flair to quit. Ric Flair was pissed. He couldn't stand Jim Herd. And Jim Herd got Ric Flair to. He wanted to cut his hair really short. And he wanted to call him some god awful, like, Roman gladiator gimmick, Spartacus. Jim fucking Herd wanted to change the Nature Boy Ric Flair's gimmick, which is the best gimmick ever for him. Why the fuck would you change his gimmick when the Nature Boy, styling and profiling, limousine riding, jet flying? Why the fuck would you ever think Jim Herd to change that gimmick? You're a dumbass. And I guess you're still alive. He's probably in his 80s. Jim Herd, you are such a fucking idiot. And a dumbass. Man, I wish I could meet you to just tell you off. And say you were an embarrassment to the wrestling business. Because you were. I don't like Vince Russo, but Russo was, I think, better than Jim Herd. A couple things Russo did in the Attitude Era for WWF, some are good ideas and good things. Jim Herd didn't do one damn good thing. So you wanted to cut Ric Flair's hair and change his Nature Boy gimmick to Spartacus because that makes sense. My God, that is just stupidity. So thank God Jim Herd was let go in January 92. Now let's go to Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter was the president, the final boss, I guess, the owner of Impact Wrestling, because she actually saved Jeff Jarrett. She saved him by putting all her family's or daddy's money into TNA. So they wouldn't go under. They needed a financial backer. Jeff Jarrett could not find anybody except he found Dixie Carter. Probably got a ton of money out of her to keep running TNA for year after year after year. I think Jeff had to sell his, or maybe he was part owner still until I don't know when, 09 or something, 2010, I'm not sure. But he left Impact. I believe he sold his stocks or something. I don't know. I think by 2010 or 2011 or 2012, Dixie was the main owner. Jeff was not owner anymore. I'm talking about Jeff Jarrett, by the way. So Dixie saved TNA from 2002 to 2017. She was there. So this is some of the good. This is some of the good that Dixie Carter did. This is some of the good. She did do some good stuff as her character, and she wasn't a booker. She wasn't on the creative team. She might have had some ideas for the women or something. I don't know. But this is some of the good that happened to TNA and Impact under Dixie. Or at least when Dixie was there, this is some of the good that happened. Impact, TNA got on pay-per-view. Live pay-per-view on Sunday nights in 2004. They ended up at the end of 2004, or in the fall, they got on pay-per-view live on Sunday nights. That was big. I thought they were going to become a real competitor to WWE. I didn't think they would overtake WWE because they couldn't. They didn't have enough money behind them. But TNA in the early years and Impact Wrestling has been a good alternative, especially from like 03 to when I watched a ton of their pay-per-views and TVs from like 03 to 2011. They were a very good alternative to WWE if you were a wrestling fan. So they got on pay-per-views live on Sunday nights. Again, Dixie did save TNA. They probably would have went under if she didn't get her daddy's money to support Impact. What else was good? I don't think she did. Spike TV had a lot to do with it. TNA Impact Wrestling got on Monday nights live. They got destroyed. Well, the first show wasn't that bad. It was like a 2.0 rating. But after that, they got destroyed on Monday nights. They should have never done it. But at the time, they thought they could. And I don't blame them for trying. At least they tried to go head-to-head with Raw. So that was a good thing, I thought. When they went live head-to-head for at least like 1 hour, they were head-to-head. So I was excited about that as a fan. I was really excited. And I thought Impact did some good stuff on Monday nights, but also some stuff was stupid. So then they ended up going live a lot on Spike TV. On Spike TV, they went live on Thursdays. Or they did a couple live shows. And after Hogan and Bischoff were brought in, I believe they're trying to go live every single week on Thursdays or every other week. It costed a lot of money. It costed TNA a lot of money. Because Spike might have helped pay a little bit of it. I don't know. But it was not that smart because live TV going on the road with a wrestling show, I believe, costs $600,000 to $700,000 a week, maybe more. At least AEW is going to be going live on TNT every week. At least TNT, from what I read, TNT is going to be paying. They will be paying for the live show to put it on. They're going to pay for it. They're not going to pay AEW. They're going to split, I guess, ad revenue and commercial revenue. They're going to split it. But TNT is paying AEW to put on the shows. That's a good thing, so they don't got to lose a ton of money. So what else good did Dixie do? Again, they did go live a lot on Spike or Destination America or Pop TV. They didn't really go live hardly ever on Pop, but sometimes they did. So from 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, the live shows for TNA and Impact were pretty good on TV. What else good did she do? Well, as I said, she did save TNA in 03 and 04, or at the end of 2002, she saved them. What else good? This was great. Dixie Carter. This is probably the highlight of her run as a character on TV. Dixie Carter took a power bomb through a table from Bully Ray on August 7th, 2014. August 7th, 2014 episode of Impact Wrestling. It might have been live. I believe it's from the Manhattan Center or the building above Manhattan Center or above Hammerstein Ballroom. It was some in that building, around there. Somewhere in that building, I guess, was where the Impact was. Dixie gets powerbomb put through a table by Bully Ray, and it was epic. It was awesome. It was a great moment. Got a huge pop. Respect to Dixie for taking that powerbomb through the table. She wasn't injured, but I'm sure she's a little bit sore a couple days after. And Bully Ray, the guy, took great care of her. Really, I think Bully's ass and legs went through the table first before Dixie touched it. So that was a great thing that she did. Letting her character and herself get put through a table by Bully Ray. Also, she had a fear. It says fear. She had a Fear Dixie Carter shirt on. Or for Bully Ray to see, it said Fear Dixie. Or I think it said Fear Dixie Bully. Or something like that. So under Dixie Carter, you had more good. I thought it was good to bring in Bischoff and Hogan. I did. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a good idea. The Knockouts division under Dixie, I'm not giving her credit for booking the women, but it was under her as vice president. The Knockouts division, it was great. So much great talent. They were doing great women's wrestling, great storylines, way before WWE's Women's Revolution. So what else good she did was she had Scott D'Amore and Dutch Mantell booking the Knockouts division and helping the women. That was really good. And at one point, I think Scott D'Amore and Dutch Mantell were even a part of the creative team. I'm sure they were. And that was a good idea to hire them as creative team members because they're both really smart and know wrestling and know the business. What else was good? She brought in Christian. She probably paid him a lot of money to get him to come there. If they didn't have Dixie's money or her daddy's money, they probably could have never brought in Christian. He became Christian Cage. He had a good run. I thought he had a really good run in Impact TNA. Also, they brought in Kurt Angle. That was a great idea. That was a really good move. Also, under Dixie, they pushed a lot of the future stars of the business that are still stars in WWE. They pushed the future. Guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns. Before that, America's Most Wanted, Daniels and Low-Key, Daniels and Elix Skipper. So many great teams and so many great young talents. Dixie Carter had them in TNA, and they were getting really good main event pushes. So here's the bad. Here is some of the. By the way, Dixie in I'm going to start off with this. This is the bad that Dixie Carter did. In 2017, I would say by 2015, 2016, I badly wanted Dixie to sell TNA to somebody, to Ring of Honor or to Vince. I badly wanted Dixie Carter out of Power. I didn't want Impact to go out of business, but I wanted Dixie Carter out of Power badly by 2015. And she was not. She was still there in 2017, and she overstayed her fucking welcome. She really overstayed her welcome. This is the other bad. There's more. There's a lot more bad than good, I think. Dixie was just... She lost, under Dixie Carter, they lost Spike TV. And they had to leave Spike. That was not good. That was a downfall of Impact when they had to leave Spike. Because their ratings went down like at least 1 million viewers. Or at least 600,000 viewers. Less were watching. When Impact went to Destination X and Pop, I don't think they even got a 1.0 rating. I don't even think 1 million people ever watched again. After they left Spike, that was not good for them, and Dixie's to blame for that. She lied to Spike TV. It's a long story, but I guess she's sending an email to the Spike TV president or the guy that ran them. And Spike TV did not want Vince Russo around anymore. They didn't want him. Spike TV said, if we're going to work with you and keep working with you and sign them to a new TV deal, Spike did not want Vince Russo working for TNA or Impact. They didn't want him working there. They thought he was a cancer. And they have every right to think that. Russo is a cancer to, definitely was a cancer to WCW. I can't blame him for the Attitude Era because Attitude Era made a ton of money and was pretty damn good and was selling out basically every single week. Monday Night Raw was sold out. So, yeah. She lied to Spike TV in an email. Dixie wrote an email, I guess. Or an email got sent to Spike TV where they found out Vince Russo was still working for Dixie Carter. And Dixie was trying to hide it, so she lied. Dixie lied to Spike TV about Russo. That basically destroyed the relationship between Spike and Impact. So Dixie, that was bad, really bad, that you lied to Spike or that you were stupid enough to send them information that Russo is still working for you and you didn't think you sent them the email or somebody fucked up. And Spike TV found out, so Dixie, you lied. That was really bad. Bad move. She lied to Spike. She got kicked off Spike. So, Billy Corgan, man, you screwed that guy over. And the guy's a great guy, passionate wrestling fan. I'm really happy for him that he owns the NWA. The guy's doing very good things with the NWA. Crockett Cup was a great event. I watched a lot of it. And it was good. I didn't watch it live, but I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube, and I've seen a lot of videos of the Crockett Cup. It was a great event. The look of the show, the throwback of the Crockett Cup, it was great. It was great nostalgia with a lot of great talent on it and a part of it. So, poor Billy Corgan, the guy saved you. Billy Corgan saved Impact in 2017. The guy to put his own money into the company to save you to put on a pay-per-view. I believe it's Slammiversary. I Think of Slammiversary 2017. Billy Corgan saved your ass, Dixie. Without his money, that show would have not been put on and the company would have went under. So very just sad that you lied to Billy Corgan and you screwed him over, claiming I guess you would have that you were going to pay him back and that you would pay him back. You never paid him back. He had to get his money by going to court, and I don't even think you paid him. Anthem had to pay Billy Corgan. I believe when Anthem took over, they had to pay Billy Corgan over $1 million because he put over $1 million in the Impact to save them under Dixie. Because I guess she was out of money. Her daddy cut her off, and she couldn't get financial backing except for Billy Corgan. He saved you, and you screwed him over. Not cool. Not good. So, again, she screwed over Corgan. Got kicked off Spike. Lied to Spike. Running a company. A lot of good stuff did happen in matches and creative because the creative team was run by smart guys like Jeremy Borash, Scott D'Amore, Dutch Mantel, Abyss, Mike Tenay, Don West at one point, I think, were on creative. Russo, he didn't do good. Russo sucked when he was part of creative and Impact, in my opinion, and TNA. Russo just was kept doing gimmicks over and over, all these stupid gimmick matches. So other bad you did, you were a deer in headlights. Dixie, I believe, had really no clue how to run a wrestling company. You were a deer in headlights. You were just a deer in headlights, and you were probably also a backstabber. You would tell talents or tell people one thing. They were trying to be the head of creative or the head booker. You would tell them one thing and then tell someone else another thing and keep lying to people. You were a deer in headlights, and you should have never really ran a wrestling company. You never should have. Because you didn't know enough about it. But who's better between Jim Herd and Dixie Carter? Who is better? Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter's better. Just about anybody's better than Jim Herd. But I just wanted to match these two up, have them face off with each other. Dixie Carter wins, in my opinion. Dixie Carter was better than Jim Herd. Without a doubt. What's your opinion? Who do you think was better? If you don't know about Dixie or Jim Herd, look them up. Read about them. You can decide who was better or who was worse. This show's called Who's Better. So who was better, in my opinion, was Dixie Carter. She did a lot more bad because she didn't have a clue. Wasn't really her fault. But again, more bad she did. They never did house shows, hardly ever. They stopped doing live event house shows. That was bad. That was not a good idea. And I get it. You probably lost a ton of money and only 400 people would show up or 200 people. Still, you should have promoted and done more house shows and live events. Also, you were just really bad, Dixie, I know I'm at the end of the show and I said Dixie's better, but this is more bad she did. You really did not know how to promote TNA or Impact. You barely ever promoted or knew how to market your brand and your company. You didn't promote them enough. You really did not promote them enough. And you should have been. And when I would actually see TNA, at one point TNA DVDs started being sold at Best. First off, they were like there's like no promotion for TNA in the stores. You cannot buy their pay-per-views or anything. The only way I got a hold of TNA DVDs in the early days in like 04, 03, 05, 06, the only way you could get a hold of them is to order them online at like TNAWrestlingShop.com. Or that's the only way I got them. I would get them off websites to buy them. Just under Dixie, they never ever promoted TNA enough. They never did, and they should have been. And finally, when you got your DVDs in the stores, it was like 2012, 2011 when I saw them. Maybe even 2013 when I first saw them. Maybe 2010. I'm not sure. But like 2010, let's say it's 2010 or 2011 is when I first saw TNA DVDs sold in stores at a Best Buy. And a ton of them were only $7 each. That was not good to see. I mean, it was good for me because I bought a ton of them, but that was not good for Impact or TNA to see your DVDs at a super low price like your company was going under. So anyways, this ends who's better between Jim Herd versus Dixie Carter. Dixie Carter wins, and she wins by a lot. Jim Herd sucked balls. The guy was god-awful for wrestling. The guy was absolutely clueless. Again, he lost the Road Warriors. He lost the Midnight Express. He did some damn stupid dumbass. He had some dumbass ideas for gimmicks that got on TV. Hope you enjoyed this Who's Better. Bye for now.